It has. There's another fire. Reactor 4 is burning, and some reports say the flames are in the worst possible area, the outer layer of the vessel's containment wall. It's still unconfirmed, but if it's true, that's where the spent fuel is stored. Now stay with me because I need to explain. Reactor 4 could be a time bomb. Last night I asked our nuclear expert Jim Walsh of MIT his greatest fear. Walsh said it was the spent fuel, the atomic waste, which lies relatively unprotected in cooling pools inside the reactor buildings. 50 workers, folks. They are standing alone against catastrophe. Jim Walsh of MIT is back with us tonight. Jim, is your worst fear being realized right now?
Well, the worst fear would be if that material melts down or catches fire, the material itself catches fire and rises up into the atmosphere. We're not there yet, but we are one step away from that. And I think even more troubling, the International Atomic Energy Agency says it's not just Reactor 4, but Reactor 5 and 6, which we haven't talked about at all during the last 4 days, is having problems with their spent fuel. And you just don't know what's going on here. You'd think, well, last night's fire, that was a one-off, freakish things happen, stuff happens, but to have it twice in 24 hours, it probably points to some underlying problem, and unless that's addressed, then it could repeat.
Okay, Jim, just so it's clear to folks who've been paying attention to this and trying to figure out, wait a minute, we've only been hearing for the first couple days about reactors 1, 2, and 3. Suddenly, where 4, 5, and 6 coming from? The reality is there are actually 6 reactors at this facility, but 4, 5, and 6 were offline, which means they weren't generating power. Only 1, 2, and 3 were. So they were the ones that were the initial point of disaster and concern. So how are 4, 5, and 6 getting into this picture now?
Well, here's the rub, Elliot. They had been shut down prior to the earthquake and the tsunami, but in being shut down, they removed the fuel rods from those reactors and put them in this temporary storage area. So these are relatively hot waste rods that are generating a lot of radiation, and they need to be cooled. And what's happened, apparently, is either a failure in the water pumps or some other problem such that the water level may be declining or the water may be boiling off, which would put them at risk for disaster. And it may be, and we do not know. We simply do not know. The company hasn't told us that it may be this increasing level of heat in that facility that is helping to contribute to these fires being ignited.
And let me come back, Jim, to the point we were discussing last night. The reason these spent fuel storage chambers or pools are so much more dangerous is because if they lose water and you get this, then the rods come together and begin to catch on fire, the radiation goes straight up, arguably, into the atmosphere. There is no containment vessel around the spent fuel pools. Is that correct?
That is 100% absolutely correct. I mean, the sort of thing we're hanging our hat on reactors 1, 2, and 3 is, yes, there's a partial meltdown. Yes, there are problems. But thank God at least there's a containment vessel, 3 feet of concrete and steel that might contain the radiation in case the worst thing happens. Well, that does not exist for the spent fuel ponds.
And now, correct me if I'm wrong here, the thing that made Chernobyl the sort of disaster of all disasters is that there was not any containment vessel around the reactor there, remarkable as that was. And so when that thing blew up, the radiation went straight into the atmosphere. If we get that sort of fire and cataclysm in these spent fuel chambers, the same sort of thing could happen because there is no chamber that surrounds and protects them. And so that's the great fear everybody's got right now.
In principle, that's exactly right. I mean, what we were hoping for reactors 1, 2, and 3, what we're going for now is 3 Mile Island, that there's a partial meltdown, but that it's contained. And what we're looking at here with Reactor 4, potentially 5 and 6, is a situation which is closer to Chernobyl. Now, it's not an exact comparison because there were explosions at Chernobyl that helped thrust that radioactive debris high into the atmosphere. There's no guarantee that that would happen in this case. But again, if there's a fire, it's going to get distributed. So the bottom line, Elliot, yes, that's right.
So you're telling me our upside is 3 Mile Island. This is not good news. Now, let's get back to the mechanics of what's going on here. what they're really trying to do, and, you know, crazy as it sounds, water is the key ingredient here. They're trying to get enough water, not only to put out this fire, but to keep these rods cool. And whether these 50 people can get enough water into those containment, those pools with the spent rods and put out the fires is a Herculean task, and that's the question we simply don't have an answer to.
That's right. And, you know, these 50 people have been working, you know, 24/7 since Saturday. If they're fighting a fire in which there's high radioactivity, they're probably in suits, you know, so they're sweating. And they're not sitting in front of a computer. They're out there doing hard labor under high degree of stress. They're doing this out of courage and commitment, and they're taking great personal risks. But they're alone. And so something has to happen. The international community, IAEA, the U.S., France, someone has to step in and help these people out because, you know, if you have 4 reactors that are all having problems, different problems, you got 50 people on the ground, you know, at some point someone's going to make a mistake. And they need more help than they're getting.